Who's here? Jean's here. Olivia's here. Patty, Zep. Oh. Mine in Luba. Wow. And me. Okay. Cool. Yeah, so let's get started with intentions and distractions. My intentions is to facilitate and hopefully encourage some thoughtful responses from the quantifiers. My distractions is my brother is here visiting from Canada, and I'm trying to make sure he doesn't cut his finger off on a coconut. But that's about it. And I'll pass it to Bear 100.
Hello. My intention here is to solve some questions and see how it went. It was the first time that I quantified, so excited to see how it went. And my distractions is that this is one of the last calls I have today, so I'm a bit tired. But other than that, I'll focus here. Thank you. And I pass it to Jean.
Thanks for that. Yeah, intentions would be to actually become a quality quantifier. I participated in the testing process, but did not actually complete any single quantification round. And if I may be honest in something, I kind of resisted participating in the praise process entirely because of some aspects where I was generally turned off by it previously, but with how things are developing recently, I'm incredibly encouraged by it to where I'm really, really wanting to do a good job of participating in this process. And so that I have no distractions right now, fully focused on this. And I will pass it to Shiwei.
Okay, I'm not a quantifier, so I'm just here to listen to people's experience. Specifically for Red Dashboard, we're working on creating kind of individualized feedback for quantifier based on the data. So I'd like to know, like for quantifiers, what do you want to know for each quantification period? Distraction is I might need to jump to another meeting if I got called on during this session. I'll pass to Septimus.
Thank you, Stewie. Yeah, my intention is actually this is becoming one of my favorite calls, like especially like the second part when we get to the chance to see like the behavior of the community with the praise. Yeah, just share my feedback and yeah, hang out in here. I'll pass it to Mini Luba.
Hi there. Hi guys. I'm here just to listen and to learn. Oh, thank you.
Cool. Well, maybe we'll pass it to Livia.
Thanks. Yeah, I feel that too, Septimus. This is one of my favorite calls. It's a late call, kind of a late call, but it feels I don't feel tired for it. And intention, yeah, just to take notes, listen to everyone, and no distractions right now.
Nice. Okay. What am I doing here? So my first question is, how comfortable did you feel with your quantification? I'm trying to remember off the top of my head. I know Livia, you were in this one, Forever and Always, a quantifier. How did you feel about this round?
Yeah, I didn't manage my time so well because I could have done like on Monday that I had more free time, but then on Wednesday I had 8 hours of calls and I remembered I hadn't done the quantification, and then at the end of the day it was just like so it felt a little heavy because of that, but totally my fault. And there was some bugs, I think, in the new UI, because the sliders were moving by themselves. I was so tired. I was like, is this my head or this is actually happening? Like I would do two in the bottom and then the top one would move just a little bit and then it would move back to the number. So I don't know if that was happening to anyone else, but and also duplicate praises when sometimes they would work, but then sometimes it would bring the original value to 0, which was also when using that blue new button, not if we clicked on the side. And I also noticed that when I got to quantify people that I knew was very active in the community, that it was kind of like, oh no, you know, because I think it would be like, oh, more duplicates, more this and that. But then once I got in the flow, it was great. And I'll pass to
Can I ask you
Patty.
a question real quick about what
Or
you
Jean,
what,
you want to go?
yeah, well, just a question about what you just said at the very end there. What the individuals that participate most frequently, what you were just concerned that they were already quantified, or you were concerned that they are being over quantified, or not based on duplicity, but just based on.
No, I'm just noticing my very personal behavior of like, how was my mind feeling when I saw a big chunk of, for some reason, it was easier to quantify like, let's say 10 praises from like 300 people than 50 praises from 10 people.
Yeah. Interesting. Should I pass it for you, Livy?
I passed to Patty.
Nice.
Thanks. So I just have to say how it was my personal experience, how comfortable I felt. I think I tried to understand in the beginning how I would set the standards, so how I would evaluate a praise, like is this more valuable than that, and it was a cool experience. Also, it changed the way that I started praising afterwards. And I had some issues like Livy. Whenever I had to duplicate something, it would either remove all the values that I had already added, and I had to do it again, or it would tag like this is duplicate of this number, and I could not find what number that is about, so I could not verify, and I wasn't sure which duplicates were linked and which weren't, and I'm not sure if everything that I duplicated is correct or not. And when I finished, I noticed that I went through everything, but then the scores said, oh, you're missing a few. So I had to go back and do it again. And I just saw it now that you opened it, which it seems that I didn't do everything. So I think there's also this small bug maybe. But other than that, it was cool to do it. And yeah, it was a cool first experience. I liked it. I got in the flow. I did it, I think, in 1 hour, 1 or 2 hours. Yeah.
Nice.
And should I pass it?
Yeah, sure.
Okay. Let's see. Acid Laser is in the call.
I think we got Zep was in there.
Yeah, thank you. For me, it was like the pretty smooth. I had some minor bugs where, especially there was one price with YGG, like I was quantifying it, then it was saying like I need to quantify one price. It took me like 3 times to get this price. And then I also had this thing that Livy said, like sometimes when you're marking duplicates, they go all to zero, and you have to mark them again. But other than that, I felt like actually like it was so smooth. Like the new deployment is fantastic. It's much better than the old one. So yeah, that's my experience. I'll pass it to Siwei.
I think we got everybody. That was a quantifier. Yeah, so maybe this next question I have is for sorting out duplicates. And I'm really curious because I wasn't a quantifier, so I actually didn't get to see this new UX and all the wonderful bugs. But I'm wondering, like, based on this new thing, like, if anybody has any like points that could be improved besides the obvious bug. I'll just leave it open if anyone. Do you guys think this new UX was an improvement over the old one?
Yeah, definitely. It's so good.
Okay. Go ahead, Patty. I saw you unmuted.
Yeah, sorry, I just joined, so I don't know if I'm having like a newbie's excitement only. But when I was ditching praises, quantifying, I thought to myself, what are the keywords that I see in each praise? So even if it's how much value it gives, or what is this praise about? So if this is about the same event, this is about the same action that is being praised, so it's a duplicate. And I thought it could be helpful to have like keywords slightly in bold or in italic or some way so you can identify, and you read everything, but you just need to pass an eye and see what this is about, what is the focus. I don't know if that's possible, but that's the only thing I would say.
Go ahead, Gene.
Yeah, just I apologize because I haven't reviewed all of the literature for praise. I will have by tomorrow. But so just based on the duplication aspect, if there are multiple individuals that appreciate the same event, we're only quantifying it as one occurrence of the event, even though multiple people recognize it, or
not quite. So like the marking duplicate, when you mark it as a duplicate, it gets a percentage of the original praise's value.
Okay.
So it's like it takes 10% of the value of the original praise, and so it does have value.
Yeah. Thanks.
And then to Patty's point, I did have in the original wireframe, and again, I haven't been able to see if it was implemented, but right on that marking duplicate modal, like you can have like a keyword search, which I think would like be like you could just type in development, and then it would highlight all the instances that say development on there.
Yeah, perfect.
Whether or not it's on there or if we'll see it on there, we'll see, but yeah.
Yeah, maybe I just didn't find it, but seems that it would be useful.
Yeah.
I think it would be helpful with this new UI to be able to differentiate which is the praise you are pointing as a duplicate off. How to make sense of, like, now we can select two praises and they both select in the same time, like in the same way. I think that's what's giving the bug that is bringing to zero, because one of them that you're clicking is on zero. So maybe if you could point, like, if the praise that you gave a value to has a blue mark and the one you're duplicating that to has a red mark, I don't know.
Yeah,
Didn't-
I had this on the wireframe, and like I had it all mapped out, and I was like, what they didn't do that? Like, are you kidding me?
Okay.
Okay, cool. Yeah. Yeah, it makes a lot of sense, Livy.
Okay, cool. So it's there.
Cool. Anyone else have any comments around this duplication thing, the new UX, or some ideas? Obviously, the next step is like we'll make some GitHub issues to like fix the bugs and make it better.
Also, I think it would be helpful. I think we would need like a whole brainstorming session just for that. But to give better direction on how to mark duplicates, because even for me, it feels confusing. Like, I don't know if from one week I should give the full value from the other week, or if I should just mark the whole period as duplicates if there is like one action that is repeating. Or I think what Patty's saying, like the keywords could help a lot, because sometimes a praise is about a similar thing, but it's pointing a different value, and then that starts to be really, I think that's what makes it tiring when quantifying one person that has a big slot, because you know that it will run through a lot of those.
Yeah, or like if there's like it's the same event per se, but somebody's appreciating something from a different dimension, is that also duplication, or is it a singular event, or are
Yeah,
different?
that's an open question.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, we can. It'll be tough to do something synchronous, but I think that's a great idea, Libby. And maybe we'll just like pin down some like concrete pain points, and then like try and get feedback on them, and then update the quantifier onboarding.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, cool. If that's all right, then we'll move on to the next question. Were you able to find enough context to adequately quantify praise? And I know, Patty, this was your first time, so I'm actually really curious.
I did for almost everything. There was one call that someone didn't write the full name. I think someone said LF, and I was like, what is it? And then I went to the glossary, then I went to everyone, and I couldn't find it. But I eventually found below, because other people dished praise for the meeting. I don't remember the name, but then it was a call, so I found context amongst other praises. But if people didn't do it, I would have no idea what it was. I had some. Maybe I should write this down next time. I had some events that I had no idea what they were about. So I sometimes, by understanding if that was inspirational for other people, I would raise the value of the quantification. And sometimes if it seemed technical, because I remember during the last call, if it was technical, we would raise the quantified value. So I also did it, but let me see. I didn't. I would like to see. I don't know if we'll do it today. Some references of what would be a high value provided. So should I give 144 to only one specific case where someone organized everything? For example, Chuy in the Daoist Mexico, he organized and he presented and he gave workshops. So I thought that is a very big contribution, but I wouldn't know, I wouldn't have a very strong reference base. So I did it just for myself. And that would be, I think, the most my first out of context experience was how do I find a reference point. So I created it myself, and I think I had consistency, but it was just for my values. So even though I read all the rules of praise, all of that, I think it's yeah, those are my thoughts.
Would it be helpful for you to look over all the other data from like since we started doing it since July last year?
Yes.
Because I have a folder, I think it's pinned to the quantifier support, and it has every period here that we've been doing. And so you can actually sort it by score. Oh, who is this? Are you kidding me?
It's me.
Zep. Okay, sorry, I got distracted. But anyway, there's a shared Google folder where you can find all of these spreadsheets, and so you can actually look up like who gave the top scores to what praise, and then if you really want to go deep, like that would give you a good reference point for like generally what people assign.
Okay, I'll take a look at that then. Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. We can pass it to Zep if you have anything.
Yeah, thank you. Actually, I was thinking about talking about just this phrase, and no, like when you like the context, like I give this score to Christopher is because like he was actually working on the dashboard and the praise system, and I was like, dude, he's rocking it. So let's put a high score in here. Like I don't know if this is like gamifying or not, but I honestly think he deserves that, so that's why I put it there. But yeah, I don't know, like. I don't know if it's a red flag or not, but I honestly think he deserved, and that was like because the context means like he was working, so and actually in a very cool product.
Okay. I was going to say you failed the attention check, but it's all right. I'm glad you explained yourself. Looks like it averaged out to 36 anyway. Livia.
Yeah, I ran through a similar thing that Patty did. There was some like very abbreviated praises that were hard to understand what they were talking about. So it's a good practice to be more descriptive, and that if you and the person you're praising is understanding of that, doesn't mean that the quantifiers will be. And maybe that's what we think sometimes praising, that it just needs to be readable by the person who is receiving the praise.
Sorry, I just had an idea. But I'm curious on the whole, like maybe like Livia and Zep and Z-Way, like have you found that praise has been more descriptive lately?
Yeah, this last period is definitely better.
I'm not
Okay.
sure. I don't feel I can answer properly, but I feel comfortable actually.
Okay. Cool. Patty, Zep, Livia. Do we miss anybody else that was quantifying in this round? I don't think so. Okay. Did you guys learn anything about the TEC? Livia, did you learn anything new?
I learned a lot about Omega. I quantified all the Omega folks, and it was really interesting to see the way they communicate. It's much more like free flowing, poetic, and emoji based.
That's fun. What about yourself, Sep?
Not really that I recall. I was quantifying the people I used to work. I really quantified like almost all the stewards.
Mm-hmm. What about you, Patty?
Yeah, I learned how to praise because now that I quantified, I saw what are the needs, what I need to see there. So I've learned in practice what is needed to praise. Yeah, teach better praises.
Great. That's wonderful. Cool. Well, we'll use a little bit of this next half of the call to go through some of the data just for funsies. And I managed to get this new RAD dashboard repository working. And you can see the sheet looks a lot cleaner than it has in previous weeks. Shout out
Great.
to Z-Way and Nuggin. Yeah. So do you feel like talking about any of this Z-Way, or do you want me just to
No, I haven't looked into this yet. You can go ahead.
Okay. I haven't either, so let's do
Okay.
this.
Okay.
So this is just like the analytics that we pulled from this latest round, so from March. And so you can see the dates here, the amount of TC tokens that will be distributed from this round, and some of the other base parameters. And we're looking at the rating distribution. And so this is like how many instances of each score was given in relation to the other ones. And so you can see that there was mostly 5s and 8s, 3, lots of 3s, 13, and then like, I can't even get that on my screen, man. Like 5 89s and like 3 top scores of 144. So very sparing. If I recall from March, I can actually recall this stuff now. We're so close. There wasn't really anything outstanding in March. There was a bit of like carryover from the Taoist in Mexico, but didn't really seem like anything big happened. If we move down to praise reward distribution, we can see who was the praise lord. And that was Livia. Wow. Great job.
What a turnaround.
Wow. I've been unthroned. Which makes sense. I mean, you're still doing tons of stuff in the reward system and SoftGov and all the things. Christopher's up there, Tam, Zep, myself, Chewy, Lauren, Nate, and we keep moving down here. Super interesting, though. You can really tell.
Who's the biggest praise giver? Or Quant?
We'll get
Oh,
the
yeah.
praise giver will probably be Mount Manu, but we'll see that in a sec. Praise giver sorted by total score. Yeah, you can see this right here, Gene. Mount Manu by a long shot, but soon we'll change that. Oh, and then myself. Wow. Nick, Benz. Okay, and then you have all the names here, right here on the x-axis. That's cool.
Wow, Mitch, didn't know you were such a praise giver.
Yeah.
Hearts.
Yeah, I'd usually just take like 10, 15 minutes before the community call. And I'll comb the forum, I'll comb through my DMs, and I'll just start like dishing it.
Oh, you actually have a systematic approach for giving praise.
It's actually very systematic. It's like I have all my channels and I scroll through and I'm like keyword searching and yeah, don't want to miss anything. I'm curious here, Z-Way, what does this value on the Y represent?
The number of the score that you gave in total.
So the
Token actually, yeah. So that's translated given the quantification results.
So this is TEC tokens?
I think so.
Okay, so from all the praise that Mount Manu gave,
That
it
generated
amounted to almost 800.
Yeah.
Wow, that's pretty interesting. And then you can see on the praise flows here, this is just Another interesting representation. You can see on the left here, this is the praise giver. And on the right, this is the praise receiver. And so similar to what we see in the last bar, you can see Mount Manu dishing out the praise. And what are these numerical values, Yue? Like you can see Zep and it says 248.
I'm not sure. I didn't make this chart.
Okay, all right, cool. So yeah, you can see here, like kind of like the flows, like you can see from Maddie G to Livia. Average score 41. Average score. So this is the average score from praise that Maddie G sent to ViViV, for instance. Or you're not sure either.
Yeah, that's the praise. I think it should be the sum of all the praise between those two people.
Oh, okay, interesting. This just says average score.
Yeah, the sum of all the average score.
Okay, all right, cool. I get you. Cool. Any questions thus far about this analysis?
What's the praise to token conversion rate?
Great question. It kind of, I think it's a bit tough to calculate. I don't have the actual algorithm in front of me, but I'm sure it's not something simple. I can tell you that, Gene. But I can throw you the repo if you want, and you can dig around in it and maybe.
Yes, please. Thank you.
Yeah. Any other questions? All right. And so we can see here, this is the spread. Okay, so this is the spread is the difference between the highest and the lowest score given for an instance of praise.
Yeah. And now you can see the message why this thing has such big spread.
Wow. But wouldn't okay, so that's the maximum. Wouldn't the one that Zeptimus did for ignore this praise show up here somewhere?
No, it's because it's 36 the average, right?
Oh, the average, but the max score is 144, and the spread would have been 144.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. I don't know if it's because there's some dismiss in that praise. I can look that up too. This is run 9, yeah. I'll add an issue for that.
Okay. That's cool. This is really nice that you can see. This kind of gets rid of having to look at the outliers document. So you can see Mexico City, TEC and its people document. And again, kind of run the Taoist as well. Looks like some people didn't. Go ahead, Livy.
I didn't understand. So the max was 144, and what was the minimum?
It's the max minus the spread.
The max.
Right. So here, for example, the spread is 136 and the max is 144. So the lowest score was 8.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Cool. This is pretty awesome. Great talks at ETH Denver, Twitter work, and then down in the weeds here. Is there a way, this is just an HTML file, is there a way to like easily publish this? Or do I just drop the HTML file?
Yeah, you can just drop it in the Google folder and people just click it.
Or just in the channel, I guess. I can upload it.
Yeah.
Oh, cool. That's way easier than running the dashboard and everything.
Oh, cool.
Cool, and then
That
you
would
can
be
see.
something- Yeah, sorry.
Go ahead, Libby. No, go ahead.
That would be something cool to have in the community call, even like highlights from the analysis.
I love it. If I could get 2 more minutes out of that community call. And so this here is each quantifier is on the x-axis here, and then you can see like generally what values they gave. So you can see like Phil here was conservative. Usua still like used like a very small range to give quantifications. Eduardo didn't quantify, so he's a flat line. And then Christopher had some extremes, but Septimus was the most extreme. Cool. And so some of this stuff, like Z-Way, where it says like Q3, Q1.
Yeah, that's like 25% to 75% of their range.
Mm-hmm.
Does that make
Interesting. Yeah, it'd be cool to maybe update these hover tooltips so they're a bit more intuitive, I think.
Okay.
I think if I post this, anyway, we can go over it later, but
Yeah, there's some statistics jargon, I guess.
I'm lost. And then at the bottom here, we have agreement on duplication. And so 17.3% do not agree on duplication. And so what was the collected in? Oh, I don't have that. And so what's the metric here for agreement on duplication?
Just do all the quantifier agree if it is a duplication or not.
So even if one person doesn't mark it as a duplicate, then it would be flagged in this percentage.
Yeah.
Okay. That's really amazing. How did you manage to wrangle up this this statistic here, like mapping together all the duplicates?
What do you mean?
I mean, like, because there's like a web, because some people might have marked a duplicate of another one, or like used the original praise of a different one and marked a duplicate of something else.
Yeah, I'm actually not sure whether this is adaptable for the new UI. But in the old one, you would say for each praise, for quantifier 1, 2, 3, 4, did they mark it as duplicate or not? And if so, which duplicate do they mark as the duplicate or duplicate original message? Yeah, good point. I need to check the current UI. How is that done?
Yeah, I mean, what has changed in the UI? There's a
My understanding is there's not a mother message for all the other duplicate, right? They're just saying, oh, this for duplicate from each other.
I think it wouldn't change much depending on the UI. It's just, I think what Mitch is saying, it's my question too of like, maybe like the agreement on which one was duplicate of which is quite a web, right?
I mean, is that even knowable in some sense? I mean, is that what you were saying, Mitch? That you could be talking about something else when you think it's a duplicate, but it's about perception, whether they think it's a duplicate or not whether they're defining it as such as an ultimate truth.
Well, it's just like, because you can mark the original praise, and then you can mark all the duplicates of it. So you could mark the original praise as praise 1, and then 2 and 3 are duplicates, or you could mark praise 2 as the original, and 1 and 3 as duplicates. So it's like, how is there a way that we're mapping that?
Yeah, I don't think we're doing that quite right now. So this number could be an overestimate.
Okay.
So it would be like disambiguated by the order they come in or something like that? Or is there a uniform order that they're all presented to quantifiers in? Or is it randomized? Or
I mean, you could present it in a certain order, but then it becomes the quantifier's discretion, you know?
are the names still randomized? Or not randomized, but
Pseudonymized?
yes, pseudonymized.
No, we're using real names now.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it seemed to make it a lot nicer for everybody.
So, is there any data that shows like strength of role bias, or is, does anybody get consistently higher scores because of who they are, or consistently lower scores because of who they are?
No, we're not comparing that. So for that, you have to group different praise to say these two praise are actually the same, but only because of this person, then they get higher rating. And we don't have that kind of a language analysis right now.
I want to move on to agreement on dismissal. And so this one we can assume is reasonably accurate because the metrics are easier to track.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so we only had less than 10% disagreement on dismissals. And so this would be like 3 people would dismiss it and 1 person wouldn't, or vice versa, or
Yeah. Any
2v2.
Yeah.
Okay. That's pretty good. I mean, less than 10%. I want to leave maybe 1 or 2 more minutes to look at the analytics here. And if anyone has any questions, go ahead and ask.
Yeah, especially as a quantifier, what analytics do you want to see? Maybe not the system level analytics, but something about your own performance. Is there anything you want to see?
Your own performance as a quantifier?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think it'd be interesting to know, because I'm feeling like the people I'm quantifying is usually at the top. Like, I don't know if because I use a different metric than the rest of the people, or maybe it is just coincidence. I don't know, but maybe like, yeah, check like what quantifiers I'm doing and why, like like why, for example, people that is being quantified by Septimus have more praise than people that's quantifying by Levy or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think that
Yeah.
would be a good thing to analyze.
Yeah. I think this is what you're saying, Zep, but like seeing my own personal bias in like how I quantify people. So like being able to see my scores that I've given over time to like Livia, to Jean, to Griff and stuff. And so being able to see, maybe I didn't
Yeah.
like Livia 1 month and so I gave her really bad scores.
Like on an individual for individual basis, or like on a what the task was or what the price was for basis. Like you love devs but you hate community members, or
It's like, yeah, like maybe my own personal bias towards community members. Like if I see that I always give Acid Laser low scores or something like that, like being able to see that data. Does that make sense to you?
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's just it'll be hard to define that, like how to define bias.
Well, you would just need, I mean, my bias would be my own interpretation, but it would be being able to see the scores that I've given. So me as a quantifier, quantifying person X, and then maybe just like a line graph of like the average values that they were given over time.
Okay, so are we using keywords for semantics, like teasing out semantics for tags, or do we?
No, we're not doing any of that.
Maybe it would be helpful on that line to, so for each period, you could see the total score you gave to each person. And since we're taking the average of 4 people, I would be able to see like, oh, I gave a score of 300 to Mitch, and Zaptimus gave a score of 100 to Mitch, and the other person gave a score of 400. And then just, I think as a first step, having that visible,
Yeah.
it could be simple and already create some awareness.
I see. Yeah.
Any other comments?
Uh, Sorry, one question for I'm looking at this note. The first thing about average character count of praise instances is that to see our praise becoming more like accurate or
Oh,
specific or
like more
whatever.
descriptive, like
Okay.
maybe the numbers of characters in each praise.
Okay.
Like if we can see people are, you get it, I think.
Yeah, I got it.
Yeah, just to throw something out there, I'm going to be destroying that tomorrow, so I'll be writing like paragraphs for people. So
Great. All right.
yeah, so we'll see if we can make that really high average.
Something else I would love to put on the red radar is, I know this is difficult, but how can we start creating categories?
Yeah.
I think the best way is educating the people who's giving praise, and we create the categories, and then people should assign one. And I think the easiest way is culturally.
So, sorry, you mean add a tag? Like, this is a contribution that provided value, and this provided inspiration, and or this provided work hours, something like that.
I mean, how could we at some point maybe do like a praise practice process of some sort, where we do like mock praise that maybe turns into real praise at a percentage, but like go through the process of having somebody go through like their last day, not even TEC related or something, and praise their family or their friends or the people that was nice to them at the grocery store or whatever in a like a praise practice process, and try and teach like strong semantics so that those keywords are naturally in there from the start. It seems like so much of this praise process uh, could be done by the praisers and not by the quantifiers. But is that completely not the idea? Or
Yeah, I think it's a good idea to leave it as like to leave quite free for the people who are praising what is the choice of words they have, because I think this is very like cultural enhancing, like people come from different cultural backgrounds and we wouldn't know to like we wouldn't want to.
I want to just take a moment to get us just a little bit more focused. Ziwei, do these suggestions make sense to you, or do you have any more comments?
Yeah, it makes sense. Just need time to implement.
Okay, no problem. And yeah, we just have a few more minutes left, and so based on what you guys experienced from this quant, do you have any suggestions to the praise dashboard or the system itself? We covered some of the bugs around duplicates and how to improve that, but anything else in the system? No, it's perfect, right? Okay. Wonderful. Well, if you think, go ahead, Livy.
It was very slow this time to load everything. Like sometimes it would take the whole, like quantifying a whole person for their name to show on top.
Oh, really? So
Yeah.
like it wasn't loading quick enough. Okay.
Hmm.
That's a good comment. Wonderful. Any other like general comments or questions that you had around quantifying? Super smooth. Okay. Wonderful. Okay. Well, if there's no other comments left, I think we've pretty much gone through what I wanted to cover in this review call. And Livy will be capturing some of like the big points in here, and hopefully we'll make them into GitHub issues, and we'll work through them and make it even better. So, thanks everyone for coming to the Quant review session, and I'll give you back your 4 minutes in your day, and we'll do this same time next week.
Thank you, Mitch.
Thank you.
Thanks everyone.